So, episode 3, turnover. Diplomacy build. This bad network is on at will basis. It means your opponent may return at any time, with or without notice, and without sample handbook page 6. Yep. Torrance Tribune. Best grip in the world. Recommend score victims from bank heists. Blueprint designs. Or sketch mechanics. Everything is boxes. Oh, kind of loud. Just a bit better. Oh no, it still sounds loud. Royd's mad. Voided. Yeah. They should. Well, this dude should be a superhero. What? Yeah, but that dude should be a superhero. Like what? Mm. Yeah, he's right. There are two sides of the lab. Half of the lab, half of the lab is fake. The other half of the lab is the real deal. It's hidden away. I think that's hinting at Royd's character. He said two parts of the game is trying to give little clues about, I think, what the sequel is going to look like. Sorry, spoilers. Or spoiler theory, because you walk into a room and it's sealed. It's like a garage, but it's the front. And then when he opens up the second half in reference to his character's capabilities or morals, that either a gearhead or you're a science head, you're either in the garage or you're in the lab. But he said he's both. But also at the same time, one half of the room is gears. and the other half is a lab. It's weird that he was stealing stuff from Radio Shack and got caught and then joined here. I guess it's all remorse, faint ignorance, or just petty theft, just doing something stupid when he was younger. Hey, it's Beef. Hello, doggo. Oh, I wish I could go back 30 seconds. His enthusiasm to build robots is different than does it want to be. But Royd has the either Royd has superpowers and he's superhuman strength, or he's pollination of Samoan superhero strength. But he could have superhero strength too. But he loves tech. So we'll see. Oh, welcome Dispatch, episode 3. Hey, doggo. With the little green collar. I work on the second floor. Staff messages. And unreadable. She's never. Well, no. Second playthrough, episode 3. I won't say any spoilers from the first playthrough. But playing it the second time now, I have. I guess what I'm about to say, because it's the second time playthrough, would be a spoiler. So spoiler warning. It's like playing the game the first time, you'll experience the story, and the game goes by super quick, and it's like the very few rare chances that I pause because I was sitting here thinking, now with the second playthrough, I can ultimately do a deeper dive on character kind of prose, and so it's how they wrote the characters and then the voice of the characters, and then within the voice of the characters to show the intent. But then again, characters can always heroes or villains in the video game will keep some of the processes away, but their character traits will always shine through regardless. Then again, good, bad, or indifferent feeling of pain, stressors, or something. So it's a few things. It's like we don't spoiler warning again. When because I'm giving away stuff from the first game. I was gonna say you only get to learn some things about the characters. So I think the video game devs spoiler theory in the future sequel games that they're probably going to create for this game, right? They're probably going to make a this goes episode 1 to 8. They're probably going to do episodes 9 to 16, and then 17 to 24. If they make a second game, third game, I think they're going to allow for a deeper branch of character development. So my bad, spoiler warning. In the first playthrough, you don't you see Robert's story, right? But um, I think in the second game, I'm gonna guess in the sequel, it might allow more of a like more character progression, more character pros for the other heroes or villains that become heroes. Um, so see how it plays out. Like for example, your current heroes are villains that are trying to reform themselves, but they probably have already pissed off other villains along their careers, and so the second video game could be new villains coming back to get revenge on these villains that then became heroes, and then it's like a test of. But I'm just theory guessing what what the video game studio is going to do for sequel game, and they could branch out and connect like the choices you make in the first game to the first 8 episodes. Then again, it could just be one game and they just keep tacking on new episodes. Um, but I'll have to see what the game devs are doing because I wonder if they're going to consider this one video game, quote unquote, that's one with 8 episodes, or if they're trying to keep the same video game, Dispatch, and then just expand the story and just keep growing the story, like episodic, like they continue doing now. So it might not be Dispatch 2, quote unquote, it might be Dispatch episodes 9 through 16 when it does come out eventually. Um, let's resume. So, oh, hear that. She says she'll remember that. Top left corner. Oh, anytime someone says it is what it is, it means what. Also, second playthrough, spoiler. Second playthrough, my thoughts on the first game. Looking at the leaderboard list is exactly the opposite few steps you're supposed to do. I'm theory crafting, but you have to then build to develop to save your team to build the perfect outcome. So like this girl's on the bottom. It's very apropos that the two ladies that are hardcore flirting with your main hero Robert in their own distinct fashions of how they flirt. Um, it's the like blonde blazers trying to save you, and then you have the option to embrace that romantic opportunity, or you see the one superhero slash villain in Invisigirl that is Invisigal or Invisi word Invisi Vizzy, who's at the bottom of the leaderboards as a superhero villain trying to reform herself. So the first few steps is like if the villains are trying to save themselves, it's like them going to an AA meeting for being Alcoholic Anonymous or Alcoholic Anonymous, whatever it's called. But the like if you have um, the 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 medical help, medical need to have a drinking disease or stop drinking, and you're going to these drinking events to help. You're a supervillain doing villainous stuff for self-satisfying reasons and committing crimes, and they want to reform themselves, then redeem themselves, and these supervillains are becoming superheroes. But Vizzy is like step one, trying to save herself, trying to redeem herself. So then you, as the character Robert, can help her as you want to help these other villains become heroes, um, or you're like embracing her more bold forms of flirting, and then fall in love with second option Vizzy as a romantic option. But where she's at is like if she's on the bottom of the leaderboard, So you want to help her, and then Sonar is like second to bottom. You want to help Sonar try to reform himself. Because like you said, same thing too. It's like they used to do villainous stuff, but now they want to do good to kind of redeem themselves. And then I totally messed up because I saw Fizzy, Sonar, and then I totally forgot the next few sets of villains. But when you look up at the top of the villains, they're the ones that have already been doing a lot of good, trying to reform themselves, redeem themselves. I think you can kind of send them last, but it's unpleasant. Yeah, Visiger has a good point. Beach cleanup, a tough time, and I'm most curious if you operate fast or operate slow. So I want to try something the second playthrough. That's it. So it pauses anytime you click, or your timer pauses anytime you pause, or you hit the tab. The tab would allow you to pause. See the powers, there's some unknowns, info. Intellectual hybrid, so lean towards his intel side. You can either make him go, well, you have the option. It's like leaning into his intelligence or trying to make him stronger. Second playthrough, theory crafting. Bombay is a fighter. He's already fighting, so it's like lean into his fighting and make him great, but then he's weak in everything else. Like you can be charismatic, but not that intelligent. You can be intelligent, not that charismatic. You has to be have agility, some mobility. I guess it is mobility. Vigor, vigor, be vigorous, vigor. This means to have great vitality. They could have just put. I guess they could put vitality because it's hell, so it's in combat. They could have put fortitude. They could have used fortitude. This intellect, charisma. Charisma is also charm, charm. But charisma is also the skill or the aptitude. Intellect is the scope. Combat, I guess, kind of makes sense. It can't just be strength; it needs to be combat. It has to be like your martial. Combat can also be martial, like your martial fighting skills or fighters. But fighters are specific. So combat is expansive. But vigor means great vitality. Your vitality is glorious. Your vitality is great. It could have been fortitude. Could have used fortitude, I think. So, abilities like agility. Agility and mobility, I think, are the same. But mobility is also, yeah, mobility is the better word because some fly, some run, and there are other types of. You have your array or your cast of villains that are now trying to become heroes, but it's the fact that mobility can cover different types of movement. So that is correct. I need to double check vigor. I'm pretty sure vigor means great vitality. Your vitality is great. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. I just have to double check. I try just it's interesting. But I need to There we go. My check, my check. All right, back. Back. Start the game in a second. Just this with a strawberry and horchata. It's pretty good. But after the ice melts, it's like water. Feels good. Feels good. Well, ice gets cool. Water. It's like water got strawberry. If your electricity usage costs more high, that means when it's cold, the electricity costs increase because everyone's using electricity to get their houses warm. But either way, I got plenty of food in my house. Oh, excuse my French. Super cool. Super cool. Yeah, fucking cool. It's not cane. This is the senator dollar broomstick. Does that come out backwards or straight? Oh no, upside down. Oh, okay. $1.25 broomstick. Oh, so broomstick. Okay. So this one slide out. Not there. He's missing piece. That I need. Oh, Jimmy. No. Going to finish a second degree in education. I'm going to finish the third degree in mechanical engineering. At the age of 17, I had a full ride scholarship. I was younger to Cooper Union engineering slash liberal arts school. It was a school that I picked out because my high school group, my teacher, I think either my school or it was my teacher, I don't know who had raised the funds, but they took uh, myself in the art class. We all had made portfolios, and I left my high school and went all the way to another fine arts design university in San Francisco at the time. And there was representatives from Cooper Union, and representatives from different liberal arts schools. It was like an art, it was like a college art recruitment fair or something like that. And I showed off my artwork in my art book, and this older Caucasian lady with all silver hair from New York City. It was her, I think three people sitting at a booth representing Cooper Union. And it's in Manhattan. It's a design school, an old school. It's been around for a long time. But they teach usually engineering and liberal arts classes. So I could have dual majored in like mechanical engineering and like 3D visual effects and all that. And so it's like the perfect playground because that's what you want to be in. And when you're a kid, your school is the public playground. So you're meeting and playing during recess and having fun and learning with everybody in your community, essentially. Um, then your academic life It's just a bigger playground where hopefully you're around the same types of people. Um, so for me, it was just a lot of the unknown and what my parents had said at the time. And I was like, when I was 17, a long time ago, it was, for me, I was excited. I was the 17-year-old kid out of California. I've been told my whole life I'm Picasso by like thousands of different people. I guess there comes a time where when you're 17 and your whole life, since I was little, everyone kept calling me by the names of Italian artists. So some of the names started to blend. I don't know if they called me Da Vinci. I don't know if they called me Michelangelo. I don't know if they called me Picasso. They just kept giving me European famous artist nicknames ever since I was like 7 years old. I started to hate it. It's like I had no idea who these old dudes are. So it's like I'm 9 years old. People are like Michelangelo, and I'm like, what? I'm like, just a 9 year old kid. I don't know what. It's just what I know now, what I knew then is like I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then no one ever cared to fucking explain. It just so it was always just like I'd make art. I'd be 10 years old, I'd be 11, I'd be in elementary school, I'd be in middle school, I'd be in high school. Every time I made art, I'd always draw a massive crowd of people around me. So I'd just be sketching during recess or making art. If I'm not, playing flag football, you're not playing basketball, if you're not running around playing tag, same thing in middle school. Even if I'm playing Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, still making art. I'm not, you know, running on the track field or playing basketball during recess, I'm making art. If I'm not, wasn't playing Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I'm making art. I can see how different teachers, different adults, by the thousands, friends of family, families of friends, friends, relatives, are all like calling me these old European artist names, and I'm like, oh no, I'm 11 years old. I don't know what they're talking about. And even when I was 14, I was just like, sure, I make art, and then I still don't know what they're talking about. And I just got kind of tired of it. I got tired of like high school comes around, and actually, I just don't want to make art because then you don't really. It's like forced entertainment. It was like I just remember like the middle school years for 3 years, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. I just wanted to just sit during my recess time. Sure, like I said, if I'm not playing basketball, not playing tag, or not playing Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I'm just like I just want to sit with my sketch pad. I just want to draw something. Or I want to draw a video game character. I want to draw a Warcraft character. Or I'd want to draw um, Nintendo characters. I'd want to draw these stories that I'd been kind of working on, even years prior. I developed and designed and created a whole bunch of stories, characters, and backgrounds, and theologies, and monsters, and superpowers, and all that. And at one point, I wanted to write comic books. If you were to ever ask me, I was to ask my younger self, I wonder if I'd forgotten my first dream. So this game Dispatch on the second playthrough it hits me in a different sense in terms of I think my first dream when I was not in a sense dreaming like I'm falling asleep dream, but life goal slash your dream job word because I think I was like 6 or 7 years old and I wanted to be a comic book artist. It was like my first love. It's just like because I saw these works of art, right? And these comic books, and I knew I was like, it just seems so cool. It was just like they got these ideas and they created these worlds. And the comic book allows you to like read sound, read these characters, read this fiction, read this drama, read this comedy, read this action, read this heartbreak, read this martial arts, read this suspense story, read this. So these superhero stories encompasses so many other narratives, but that with the visual media inside of it, it can kind of lift you up or bring you down. And well, the comic books, I just knew I was like, that means some person, their jobs get paid, and they get to make like this, long form series, art form where they're telling a story with the visual medium. You can read the sounds because you add like sound effects that are captions, and it really brings the world to life, be it the science fiction or the fantasy fiction or the just reading whatever novel, but just comic book form goes a little bit further, because the visual medium, um, you can draw more out from it. You can read the character's lines, and then when you see how the face is drawn, really encapsulates the character and brings their world to life. The comic book is photographs from a fictitious world. So that's why with this Dispatch game, it's a video game that's like inspired by comic books. And oh, I do need to reduce these ads. What am I doing? Dismiss this ad. If I dismiss the ad, does it remove the ad? Or do I need to go to another set of settings to remove the ad? And the reason I need to remove the ads is I don't really need to. Oh, I appreciate the notifications from those streaming thing, but yeah, I appreciate the dispatch video game because like it takes the comic book, step further and puts it into this um, interactive, you know, world. So this multi-choice comic book inspired video game that's much more centered on realism has been eloquently done, um, even for the vulgarness. But just this dispatch video game, like I said, inspired by comics, inspired by other superhero anime shows or other superhero, video games and stuff like that. But just from the essence, you could tell it like feels like it's from a comic book. And if I was to, I think if I grab more information on Dispatch, I'm gonna take an educated guess that it was based off how the writer was functioning. Like whoever wrote this was definitely, I think, inspired more so by comic books than by um, other video games or other anime shows. Just because it has this 90s, almost like kind of X-Men feel. Wonky, it's different, but by them creating their own universe, it makes everything pretty fun. Not bad. And I always thought it's funny too, like not to harp on other stuff, but just with Marvel comics, it's essentially just much more associated with New York City. And so when you think of Marvel comics, I just think of like, even though you have stories from, they have movies, of course, and stories, but just the essence of Marvel coming from comics, it did always kind of feel more centered on New York City, like a New York audience almost. So I do like how when Dispatch comes out now in 2025 as a video game medium, with off of a it's a comic book inspired kind of look, and I could take an educated guess that I imagine the writer, the main writer or writers, if there's more than three or one, more than one or more than three, that they're more so inspired by comic books in the 90s. And then on top of that, I do like how it's centered on Torrance, California, like this, California, West Coast, LA metro area. But like any major city, like the LA metro area or New York metro area, it's full of crime. With any major city comes just the attraction of more criminals. If you have smaller towns, smaller cities, um, just from the statistics, is less crime. Versus like San Francisco actually averages more crime than Oakland. But guess what? Oakland's in the news all the goddamn time. See, that's just a controlled bias. See, so like San Francisco averages more crimes per day, every single month than Oakland does. But when people think of like the Bay Area, they always associate Oakland with bad, and like in SF is like less than bad. So that's their controlled narrative. And so, for example, the fact that there averages more crimes in ESSA than Oakland, you are um, less safe. You're actually safer in Oakland than you are in San Francisco. San Francisco, it's um, same thing but more. There's still um, gun violence, still physical violence, still carjackings, muggings, um, and the worst like sexual assault, fighting, assaults, crimes against children. There's more crimes per day in San Francisco, more than Oakland. So it's just now, someone's getting paid. Someone's getting paid to not address it. Versus what you continue to see is it's almost like the passive aggressive racism even built into your newscast. Where your newscasters are going to then highlight and showcase the Oakland crimes when San Francisco has more crimes. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like that's what makes it so. Sorry about that. I have to. It's always like a random bot that shows up in chat, and I can't run it from my side of it. I need to keep the Twitch app open on my cell phone so I can remove these bots. So from time to time, these bots will show up in chat, and you have to remove them. That's funny. There we go. Oh wait, should do mic check. Oh, I think I already checked the mic earlier, but mic check, mic check. Okay. Actually, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Yeah, after his the comms were good. But yeah, just something that I've noticed with Twitch. Some I don't think it's one company. It's more than one company that developed these bots, and they send them across social media to try to influencers buy views. So just randomly, the bot showed you by chat, but the bot does just rarely show by chat. The bot, these multiple companies are sending bots everywhere to have people pay for their servers to buy views. So and don't be like Drake. Don't be a pedophile and a dude who buys millions of botted views to make his fandom seem bigger than it actually is. Like Drake got caught as being sued by a state government because they found like you know uh, this bot farm for one location that had created I think like 3.6 million accounts or something like that. So it had like one location or one address that was generating 3.6 million, you know, fake accounts and all that. So when you think about followership and viewership, it's much more predicated on like there's more numbers you have to go by since you look at the fact that like even the pedophile criminal president Donald Trump, this piece of shit fucking felon, he has tens of millions of fake followers, and like same thing with Elon Musk has tens of millions of fake followers. So it's like they're not actually fucking famous; they just have a fake famous bullshit. But the fact that you have a neo-Nazi Elon Musk just if he's at the White House, it builds legitimacy to his fake cult, um, and to his neo-Nazi fan base. And so now anybody associated working around that dude who's doing Nazi salutes from the fucking president's podium, aka neo-Nazi Elon Musk, like no one should be shaking his fucking hand. No one should be dealing with this asshole, and everyone should be cutting off their fucking contracts. And we already had legitimate excuse. We had some 17 or 18 plus federal investigations into multiple companies that Elon Musk was using because he was illegally. He's like an evil fucking scientist. He was doing um, gross abuse of the law, violating the rights to animals when they're doing this animal abuse, as he was doing experimental tests on them. It had to do with these microchips on their fucking brains of these animals that they were doing illegally. So the harm caused to those animals. Um, we're talking selling of his internet access system to other countries. There was also like him flying and meeting other world leaders. Um, Extremely fucking dangerous. There's a complete difference between a dude who's from South Africa who illegally snuck into the country, Elon Musk, uh, and now he has government contracts worth billions, and he's already been caught speaking with other world leaders one on one in private. So it's like that dude cannot have a government job, a federal job. He shouldn't have any federal contracts because now we don't know what secrets did he pass from his hands from the U.S. government to these other foreign leaders. He was the liability. He has all of the red flags, all of the presumptions of guilt are right there, where it's like um, there's already hardcore evidence of like um, neo-Nazi Elon Musk. They shut off internet access from the Starlink system. So now it's you're handing invaluable real world battle data, right? Flying over Starlink into a neo-Nazi's data bank. And then now Elon Musk has data from an active war zone in Ukraine and intelligence on US tech and foreign tech and Russian tech. And now he's selling that data to other nations, which should have landed him in federal prison, should have landed him all the fucking red flags. Him meeting in private with other world leaders, already red flags. He should have seized his cell phones, cut off all his access. He looks like a spy. That's neo-Nazi Elon Musk. Like all the red flags. His systems, his satellite systems, if any of the voting machines from the last election were sending any data over Starlink, you're handing that data to a known neo-Nazi, right? Who's meeting with other foreign governments, right? So you could have easily compromised to the Americans that voted by mail, their identity and privacy is safe. But to any Americans that voted over any electronic systems and any of that data trafficked through Starlink is in the hands of a data bank of a neo-Nazi meeting with foreign leaders. He's going to sell all that personal, identifiable information, right, to countries that have zero access to because we have a privacy federal law that protects all American citizens. He just violated the rights of millions of Americans, and those millions of Americans that found their data flying through those voting machines over Starlink systems can now sue Elon Musk and Tesla and all his assets. All right, for the sheer fact that data is not encrypted but can be intercepted. Okay, the moment you start sending data from the ground to satellite internet, the connection can be intercepted. I'll say it again. This isn't internet hardwired copper to copper or fiber to fiber, right? Where it's underground. Okay, and foreign governments are intercepting that. It's the fact that you have a known neo-Nazi meeting with other foreign leaders one-on-one, right? And if any American information, any American identifiable information, or voting system information, registration information flew from those voting machines, right, to a satellite internet, as that connection flies, that data can be intercepted, which allows all those millions of Americans to sue Starlink, their business, and all those fucking idiots into the dirt. And the DOJ and the US government should have already done their job and like seized his cell phones, all his assets, and everything. Because guess what? All those state AGs should drop their books and stand the fuck up. Every single state AG, right? Because the voting system, the power's in the states. So it only affects like the 7 swing states essentially. No offense, but you should probably check the other states too. But there are 7 swing states that Trump won all 7, and the probability of that is 0%. Right? Here's the first clue for the courts. Donald Trump, whenever he stood at a rally, a stadium would be 50% filled or 25% filled. So every time Donald Trump campaigned, he had 25% or less than 50% of a stadium filled, and even lower than that sometimes, down to some 30% or 10% of a stadium filled, wherever he would go. And the vice versa, on the opposite, everywhere Kamala Harris went, she had maxed out stadium with overflow. Every building, place, stadium Kamala Harris went, every state she visited, she had maxed out overflow. Okay, so explain to me how one candidate who has massive stadiums, right, filled out with overflow, didn't win the election, but the guy who had won all 7 swing states with a probability of 0%, every state that he traveled to, he would have less than 25%, less than 50% that stadium fill. There's your first clue for the courts, right? And then all the hints are the tweets of them boasting about their success, failures, and their bickering, showcasing their secrets to the internet all across Twitter. And good thing the internet is forever because people have already archived every single tweet that this neo-Nazi Elon Musk says and every single tweet that Donald Trump says. Multiple organizations, multiple nonprofits around the world are constantly saving and cataloging what these evil, sick men say because they're committing their crimes out in the open. So Donald Trump and Elon Musk, neo-Nazi Elon Musk, the criminal pedophile Donald Trump and Elon Musk have already admitted to their crimes across Twitter because they can't stop boasting about it. It actually helps their psyche because their psyche is fragile and weak. They can't literally hold on to any kind of truth. They literally spill it out. It is the prose of their character, it is the crutch of their character, is the hubris of their character. For being evil and stupid, their mind is so small it can't hold the weight of any truth upon its head. So then it spills out of them. They literally guilt themselves into admitting their crimes across Twitter. So Elon Musk has already admitted to rigging the election and winning the election for Donald Trump on Twitter. All his conversations are being recorded. So it's like what you're seeing now is twofold. The people are wondering why didn't Biden do anything? Well, Biden's a war criminal. Donald Trump's a war criminal. Biden for 35 years is a racist white asshole. He's the smart, evil, white racist motherfucker. Donald Trump is the stupid, racist, white, evil motherfucker. Biden is the racist, white, evil motherfucker that stands by other white men that rape women. Biden is the racist, white, evil motherfucker that will hand weapons and bombs to Jewish supremacists in a British colony as they murder and rape children. And Biden is the evil racist motherfucker because he'll go in front of the White House and lie to the American public and then smile and try to ease your thoughts. That's why when you see some Americans say Democrats, Republicans are evil, or Democrats and Republicans are compromised, or politicians are politicians are politicians, it's because those two instances. Right? So the people on the right with the red hats are like, look at Biden, look at all this evil shit. And then we got all the Democrats with the blue hats on the left looking at the right wingers on the right, like, look at Donald Trump, look at all this evil shit. And both Biden and Trump are both the same white, evil, racist motherfuckers. Just one is smart, one is stupid. I'll say it again. Biden's a war criminal. His nickname is Genocide Joe. For 35 years, he stood by and stood with white men as they raped white women. He didn't do shit. He continues to break bread on the right. The same GOP fascist white men that commit crimes against children and women, Biden still wants to cross the aisle and shake their hands and work with them. Right? Biden's worst thing is that he's a war criminal who literally saw the intelligence for 4 years, handed weapons to a bunch of Jewish supremacists, Zionists, IDF bastards out of a British colony that's invading Palestine. So to educate the world and educate the public, because motherfuckers are stupid, Americans are stupid, humans are stupid. International law, right? The inherent right to self-defense, the inherent right to self-defense belongs to Palestine. By my academic annotations, right? My academic research looking at Palestine. Palestine's been Palestine for 2,547 years. Right? I have a bachelor's degree in 3D visual effects, and from that bachelor's degree in 3D visual effects, I've been schooled on art history, a lot of art history. And actually, the catalog of art history is a much more accurate representation of the human paradigm and of humanity and human history. I'll say it again. When you master all your art classes, and then these aren't just art classes, like art history. When you catalog art history for 2,500 years, I've literally had to be schooled on art history from literally the early ages of art, the Egyptian ages of art, India art, European art, African art, Asian art, for 2,500 years. Multiple classes over multiple years for 4 years. For 4.5 years, my bad. My degree took me 4.5 years, but 4.5 years of the degree. Well, I can't say that because the art history was only for 4 years. So for 4 years, because the last 4.5, that 0.05% was just focusing on my specialty is 3D visual effects. So it doesn't count. 4 years of academically trained art and like going to art museums and writing tons of university level papers on art history. The collection of art history is a more accurate representation of human history. It shows the losers and the winners. It shows the genocides and the hopefuls. It shows the well wishes and the sick. It shows the revolutionaries and the corrupt. Art history encompasses all of humanity and the spectrum of humanity, the bad and the ugly. So the point I'm getting at is you'll know more about a nation based on what art they allow you to see. You'll know plenty how a culture, a nation operate, or a state-sponsored nation or state operates based on the art you're allowed to see. And that has rung true till now, 2025. So in America, we have freedom of speech. So it gives you the ability to create a video game like this, Dispatch, superhero video game, wide range of stuff, and or the art you're allowed to see is acceptable by the state. And that shows your freedoms that you have or the freedoms you don't have. So like in Russia, there is no freedom of expression of art, right? If you display the wrong type of art, you get thrown in prison in Russia. That's not freedom. If you display the wrong type of art in China, that's not freedom. That's fascism. That's oppression. So at least here in the United States, we have some freedom to display some art. It means we're still free. It means your democracy is still beating in every single person's heart that's American. But if you're in Russia, right, you can't freely express a comic book that's like making fun of Putin. You can't even do that. You get thrown in prison. You can't even make a 3-panel comic book in a newspaper in Russia because there is no freedom there. There's no freedom of expression or art. Can't even make fun of one dude. Dude can't even take one fucking joke. That's Putin. Thin skin, zero heart, evil motherfucker. Excuse my French. Same thing in Russia. Oh my God, same thing in China and Russia and probably North Korea. Um, if there's no freedom of art or freedom of expression, they're not free. Those are fascist states. So then when you look at the United Kingdom, like today, right? If you stand on the sidewalk and you hold up a picture of art, right? They're arresting people. They're in a fascist state. The United Kingdom, aka the British Empire, there are no freedoms. They are not free. They're in a fascist monarchy, military authoritarianism. There's a criminal regime. The entire British Empire, right, did a rebrand and they call themselves the UK. Nothing about them is united, but their kingdom is intact. The United Kingdom, nothing about them is united. They're fractured under a fascist black boot, under a fascist leather boot. If you stand around in the United Kingdom with a piece of artwork, people are being arrested. They're just standing there with a sign, with a poster calling for the end of a genocide. If you are in the UK, you are not free. You're in a fascist monarchy, military authoritarianism regime, a criminal regime. The entire kingdom, right? Their entire crown are all criminals. Right? To the highest degree, The United Kingdom approved spy planes to fly over Palestine to aid Jewish supremacists raping and murdering children. The culpability is it indicts every single member of the Crown. The entire Parliament are lords and ladies. Lords have to swear fealty to the Crown. So, of the UK Parliament, of the British Empire Parliament, let's see the kingdom, the Crown, didn't like the British Empire moniker. They liked the term United Kingdom because it kept the kingdom intact. The misogynistic male monarchy, and not a matriarchy. Monarchy dominated by white men, white males in the UK. The women in the UK are suffering. The children in the UK are suffering. Their population lives in poverty. The vast majority of the population of the current United Kingdom, aka the British Empire, lives in poverty. They're perversed. They're broken down. And they're suffering. You know the entire United Kingdom, you know what the average worker makes? $28,000. So 50% of their population, the median, which is actually probably close to 60%, but 50% of the United Kingdom's population makes $28,000 a year. The entire British Isles live in poverty. Hell, here in, excuse my French, heck, here in the United States, you could work a job in any of our states and probably make like $60,000 starting. Twice the amount of money that you would make in the UK. Literally, literally. All 50 states, you can easily find an entry-level job that'll pay you, $55,000 or $60,000 a year. But if you're in the UK, your entry-level job only pays you $23,000 a year. And then the average worker is only making $28,000 a year in the UK. 50% of their population, damn near 60%. They're living, and then if you're on the street and you have a sign that says "Stop the genocide," the police are just arresting people in the UK, apprehending them, and off they go to prison. Hell, they're imprisoning people for standing up against a genocide right now by the hundreds, and it's turning into the thousands. So the time to act is now. The fear of oppression is a rule that should never last. There's always temporary pain. Say it again. The fear of the rule of oppression is always a temporary. It is always temporary. It will never last. I'll explain it really quickly. India is free, right? After some, I think it's like 80 years of British Empire colonial oppression. India, the state of India is free after 80 years of British oppression. South Africa is free, decades and decades of a racist apartheid state. The Philippines is free after some, I think, 200 plus years of Spanish European oppressive rule, colonial genocides. The Philippines, I'll say it again, the Philippines is free after like some 200 plus years of under European colonial rule. They're now free. Thank God. Vietnam is free after 77 years of French imperial European colonial rule. Another European colony, a bunch of French bastards got oppressed, committed genocide, crimes against the Vietnamese people. But Vietnam is free. Vietnam is so valiant. They're some of the world's best warriors. They're men and women. They defended their nation against China and the Chinese. Multiple invasions. The Vietnamese had defended themselves against and freed themselves from French imperial rule. and they freed themselves from American rule. The Vietnamese are some of the best men and women fighters on the planet. Show me a smaller nation that has physically liberated their own peoples. Vietnam is a small nation, but in their heart they are lions. They are braver than most. Against insurmountable odds, they never gave up. Palestine's going through that right now. Palestine has been Palestine for 2,500 years. Back in the day, the Romans called it Philistines. In Roman times, it was Philistines, which today it's Palestines, and it's the translation from Philistina, which is Palestina. It was the Philistines because of the language that they spoke. And then Philistina is a PH, Ilistana. And you'll see these old maps from Italian scholars from 1500 years ago, call it Philistina. And then as the translations change over time, you then see now you'll find paperwork and of from the 17th century and the 18th century. You'll have coins from Palestina, which is Palestine. It's just the Latin and Italian version of Palestine is Palestina, what we call Palestine today in English, which is also known as the Hilistina. And then like in 1903, like 1910s, 1923, you'll see the paperwork for Palestine. You'll see people coming and going, moving to Palestine because it's the Holy Land. Out of respect to the Holy Land, out of respect to Palestine, no one really invaded Palestine because it was the motherfucking Holy Land. People constantly forget that Muslim nations, especially the Abbasids, the Abyssinian Empire, and the Umayyads. The Umayyad dynasty was a Muslim dynasty, it's a caliphate that I think was around for like 900 years. And Abyssinia and the Abbasids, the Abbasid Caliphate, was the Muslim majority before modern day Ethiopia was a majority Muslim nation prior to the formation or creation of Christians or Christianity or Judaism, or I guess you could say Judaism. So, for example, modern day Ethiopia is called Ethiopia, but its original name is Abyssinia, and it's the Abbasid Empire. It was formerly the Abbasid Caliphate, and their long line of kings that they had. And eventually, for Ethiopia, before their Ethiopia, Abyssinia, before their Abyssinia, Abbasid Empire, before the Abbasid Empire, they're the Abbasid Caliphate. They're a Muslim majority ruled nation that had Abbasid Caliphate or Abbasid Empire, Abyssinia, had conquered and controlled all of North Africa, all of formerly Kemet, obviously and formerly modern Egypt. I believe half of Saudi Arabia, most of the Mediterranean, and all of Spain, leading into parts of France. And then eventually, the Abbasid Caliphate, the Abbasid Empire, was so massive because they had all of Iberia, which is modern day Spain, and parts of France, all of North Africa, all of the Middle East. It was just too big, too many barbarians. The barbarian is just a derogatory term for the North coming from the Roman Empire. So, Roman Empire in their art referred to Celtic and Celtic kingdoms as barbarians. So even the term barbars or barbarians was a slur from the Roman Empire, translated from Latin into English, um, against the Celtic and Celtic kingdoms and the Scottish kingdoms of the north. So there's your like animosity, like parts of France and parts of Germany, parts of Poland, and parts of Romania and all that used to be, uh, Scottish, Celtic kingdoms, Scottish kingdoms, Irish kingdoms, um, and they all fell and lost their land and territory as the militant Italian Greco-Roman states. But they're basically Italian Greco um, war cities, march their soldiers north to steal and take more land. And so through art history, you see a better understanding of the good, the bad, and the ugly of humanity. And you see the same battle lines today. So the descendants of these fascist, militant Roman Greco or Italian Greco war cities in their neoclassical architecture. That's why they consider themselves winning. Because the very pillars are the same pillars that are designed from Italian Greco war states, the fascism, are the pillars you see in a lot of so-called Western democracies. It's a term of what they call neoclassicalism. But neoclassicalism is just a bullshit term. Nothing about it is classical. It's all just Italian Greco, fascist, war states. That's all they are. Every time you see that Italian Greco architecture as your main buildings, you're confined to their fascism. And so, and that art still plays out in American architecture. It all came from one dude, Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson coined himself as um, neo-capitalism is what he called it. He's a neophyte, fanatic, with the FA, the fascism. It's always been like that. And neo means neophyte. Neophyte means a fanatical follower. Fanatical follower is just fascist. And they turned the then they turned the name then they what was it dubbed the name or turned the nomenclature of a neo-Nazi, but its essence is still a fanatical fascist. That's all it is. So you see these battle lines now. You see these older, good stewards, good honorable men and women that are of the Islamic faith. It's the Islamic faith is a good, honorable people. When I'll explain it like this really simply. There's only two groups that have destroyed Catholic and Christian relics in the Middle East. Guess what those two groups are? Dumbass Americans and Jewish supremacist Israelis. So I'll say this again 3 times and slower for everyone to understand. Muslim followers and the Islamic faith are good, honorable fighters and peoples and culture. They're great stewards of the land. Catholic churches have been standing, Christian churches have been standing for thousands of years. No harm done to them. Out of respect, the wars that were fought in the past during the Crusades. Hundreds of years, Catholic warriors and Christian warriors battling to the death, with swords, guns, muskets, and boulders, and molten fire and arrows raining from hell, killing each other in the names of their lords. Not of their faith, but they're killing in the names of the command from their lords, but not of their faith. And the only two groups that want to trample, disrespect the hallowed ground, millions of humans that have died to bring that peace. A bunch of Jewish supremacists and a bunch of dumbass fucking Americans. These Jewish supremacists are the same evil motherfuckers you don't ever want to shake hands with. They're a very small group. Not that many of them. Probably less than 1 million of them. Probably like 986,000 of them. But they're loud. They're like the Yap. Talking about 986,000 Jewish supremacists. Less than 1 million. But what they've done over the past 77 years is they were spies and traitors to every nation they worked with. What Hitler did was within his officer ranks, he had Jewish supremacists working for him. You will find the history of Jewish supremacist Germans working alongside Hitler, even killed their own people. Because the Jewish supremacists at that time believed by helping the Third Reich that they would get their colony. But instead, the Jewish supremacists were double agents. And they worked with the British to be spies on the inside. And then in turn, Britain gained invaluable intel. And because these Jewish supremacists aided the British Empire, beat Nazi Germany, the founding president of Israel is a triple agent named Ben Gurion. He's a Jewish supremacist mercenary. He was a spy for the British Empire who worked for Turkey, aka Turkey. He's a former Turkish spy. He had a different identity. This is the first president of Israel. He's a spy. Do y'all get it now? Do y'all see it now? It gave the British Empire the valuable intelligence that Turkey lost. And then, with that, there was an agreement of 10,000 Jewish mercenaries trained by the British military after World War II ended in 1945. And 3 years later, in 1948, allowed Ben Gurion, a British spy, a triple agent that helped aid the British Empire combat neo-Nazis, be a traitor to Germany and a traitor to Turkey, aka Turkey. The British Empire then in turn trained 10,000 Jewish supremacist soldiers, and then they invaded 3 years later Palestine, 1948. And then 1949, you see the atrocities of Jewish supremacist soldiers trained by the British Empire. They knew exactly what they were doing. Approval by the Queen and the King of the United Kingdom. Their culpability. Ben Gurion was then given the command. Not that, he was given a gift because he was striving for it ever since 1899, for 48 years, by his Jewish supremacist grandfathers and fathers above him, cultivating the wealth and money. In 1899, a group of Jewish supremacists from Europe and America gathered in New York City, had a conference of Zionism. They were raising money to build war bonds to pay their soldiers to build their colony and their incursion into Palestine. The Jewish supremacists are scattered. They're in New York, they're in America, they're in Italy, they're in Austria, they're in Germany, they're in Ukraine, they're in Romania, they're in Dagestan, they're in Kyrgyzstan, they're in Russia, they're in the United Kingdom, they're in Spain. Mainly Western backcountry with these Jewish supremacists, these Zionists. So the United Kingdom, their king and queen, sign off on giving millions of dollars of money and millions of dollars in bonds and war bonds to a triple agent spy named Ben Guren, who was a spy that had worked with neo-Nazi Germany, who had worked with Turkey, or Turkish Empire, he worked with the British Empire, a triple agent, signed off by the Crown, United Kingdom, to train 10,000 Jewish supremacists to invade Palestine, to form a new colony. The United Kingdom doesn't give that a blessing. It's the British Crown that gives it the blessing. A corrupt blessing. So the very first president is a triple agent who is a criminal, dangerous spy of Israel. And before they formed Israel, see, on the war bonds, on the colonial war bonds, on the colonial trust from the British banks, then back this incursion into Palestine to create another colony. Guess who was already there? British Empire. British Empire had Indian soldiers and other slaves operate to control Palestine, fracture it, divide and conquer. Only difference is that the British Empire handed the guns and weapons over to Jewish supremacists that aided them over the past 40 years committing crimes around the world as spies. So right now, this week in 2025, it's November 18th, you have British people today standing around with artwork saying to end the genocide. They're standing around with artwork decrying, or they're protesting against the genocide. British people sitting around, standing around with pieces of art. They're being arrested because they're saying enough is enough. But guess what the British Crown is doing? Guess what the British Empire is doing? Guess what the British police are doing? They're arresting anyone standing on the street with any form of art that's standing against the genocide. They're not free. You're in a fascist monarchy, military authoritarian criminal regime underneath a bloody crown that's been committing genocides and war crimes for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. To reiterate again, the average British person is making like $23,000 to $28,000 a year. They're living in poverty, abject poverty. Because like I said, you can just go find a job anywhere else in the United States and be making starting pay like a 55, 60,000. And that's, and to a British person, that's amazing. But us as Americans, that's like to 99% of the planet, it is freedom. To 99% of the planet, our 60K starting wage is freedom. But to Americans, because our cost of living is so high, we strive for six-figure salaries. .9% of the world, they'd rather be Americans. And we see this in the hypocrisy of Chinese Han nationalists. Fucking Chinese Han nationalists. Same vile motherfuckers that will work for the PRC as spies in the United States. They will hate the United States, but they'll move their entire family here and they'll stay here and they'll embrace and love our culture, but they'll hate us to the core of their bones. Right? Their cell phone's going to be an iPhone. Their car is going to be an American car. Their home is going to be an American state. They're going to send their kids to our university. But you're going to have a bunch of Chinese Han supremacists, Han nationalists in our country uh, dogging on America uh, when they don't, when they'd rather be here than in their respective country, China. There's your abject lesson on freedom. Same thing with Russia. Russia will hate on all these other cultures. There's no freedom in Russia. There's no freedom in the UK. But all the technology comes from America. You know what Russia does? Russia tries to reverse engineer our technology. Same thing that China does. They don't innovate. They literally don't innovate. They have made the calculated determination, like Russia and China do not innovate. They've made the calculated decision that because the United States is already investing billions upon billions of dollars into research and they can't keep up, they're just going to copy and steal our technology. Like, duh. So there's a few mirrored things. But the biggest thing is for the average British person, you're making $20,000 a year. The median worker, 50%, damn near 60%, making like $23,000, $28,000 a year, living in poverty. Entire nation. It'll probably skew or change the perspective how people look at the British Empire, aka the United Kingdom, because they're now just arresting old people and blind people for standing up against a genocide and putting them in prison. The Crown, the British Crown approves it because they're used to committing genocides and invading countries and stealing 88,000 artifacts, committing rape, murder, genocide, war crimes. Is the Crown, is the British Empire. Nothing goes without approval from the Crown. All their lords and ladies swear fealty to the Crown. Right now, in November 18th, and this week, the past few weeks, and it'll continue to go on in the United Kingdom, in England, in London. They're putting people in prison, old people, blind people, disabled people, who are protesting against the genocide. If you are in the UK, you are not free. You're in a fascist, military, authoritarian, criminal regime. You're underneath their leather boot. If at any one time you thought, man, what does the Third Reich look like? Man, does it fucking look like the British Crown right now? If you right now, November 18th, 2025, if at any one time you wanted to conceive or think, man, what the fuck does what does the Third Reich look like? It looks like the current British government. You are not free. Blind people are going to prison for holding up a sign saying no to a genocide in the UK. That is a fascist state. The time to act is now. And for decades and decades and centuries, the British Crown has held on to power. They've committed genocide after genocide after war crime after war crime after atrocity after atrocity after invasion for centuries. The British Crown. So to the average fucking British person, look to your left, look to your right, and answer to the person in front of you. Right? The very world that you live in, you are poor. You make $23,000, $28,000 a year. If you come to the United States, hell, your starting pay could be 60,000, twice that. That's freedom. The UK, you are not free. The British Isles, Ireland, Scotland, they'll be free one day once the British crown is melted into the ground. I'll say that again. The current British Empire is a fascist monarchy, military authoritarian criminal regime. If you're a blind person holding a sign saying no to a genocide, they're now throwing them in prison. Old people holding signs saying stop killing children. The UK is throwing them into prison. If you're disabled, if you're an artist, if you're a protester, if you have any ounce of good in your heart, you stand up with a piece of artwork in the UK, you say no to a genocide, you get thrown in prison. You're not free. You're suffering under fascists. You're suffering under fascism in the United Kingdom. Happening today, last week, and it'll continue to happen to the average British person. What are the worst people on the planet? It's the British Crown. You know why the British Crown is the worst people on the planet? Because for centuries and centuries, they've invaded over 100 countries, committed mass murder, mass rape, mass genocide. British Crown. Where is the justice? Where is the justice? Where is the justice? Think about it. Right? So every single British person, you're living in poverty, making $23,000 a year. You can come to the United States and make $6,000 starting. There's no need for you to continue to live an impoverished life, suffering under the crown of the British Empire, the bloody crown of the British Empire that has committed genocides and mass rape, mass murder for centuries. And all you are is a pawn. So the one thing the British Empire doesn't have is you do not have constitutional republic. But to the British person that's trying to think outside the box, to the British person that is going to wake up in 2025, who will become woke, right? In 2025, you're going to realize that y'all don't have to suffer like that. I will continue to showcase what life looks like across America under our constitutional republic, because at least we're still a democracy with freedom. In the UK, you're in a fascist state. You're all impoverished. You're all suffering for the crimes of a very small few. I would love to see what the youth unemployment numbers are, percentage, for the United Kingdom. If the youth unemployment percentage is at above 18%, there's a saying that idle hands don't make peace. Only a small select few will understand. True justice is the British Isles of Scotland being free to be their own country, to restore their culture, be proud. Ireland and the Irish kingdoms should be back. There's a difference. There used to be a long succession of kings and queens of Ireland, and the Irish kingdoms had expanded where they had half of France and parts of Germany. But the Irish kingdoms never disrespected the Scottish, right? Scotland is still there, Ireland is still there, the Welsh are still there. But they should be each their own respective cultures. The French still fuck up too. And the British seem to fuck up too. Excuse my French, sorry. But the Louvre in France, in Paris, and the British Museum in London, in the United Kingdom, justice is them giving back their stolen artifacts from all the genocides, colonial bullshit they inflicted onto the world. The French government and the British government owes reparations to all the countries they have invaded and destroyed, and all the stolen pieces of artifacts they have taken. More so than any other nation on the planet. The Louvre in Paris, France, and the British Museum. It's actually called the Royal British Museum, which puts all of the, what is it? The Royal British Museum, which puts all of the blame onto the crown, the bloody crown. Small group criminals that all of the British Parliament swears fealty to. So their culpability is apt. Oh, oh, thank you for my rant. Thank you for listening. Let's get back to the video game. We're on episode 3 of Video Game Dispatch. This is the second playthrough. This is, oh, I had to pick a mission. Oh, I'm about to mess up. You know I'm about to mess up? Oh, I got it just in time. So, responding to a natural disaster in the video game, Galen speaks. There was an altercation with the team and a monster. There's a body parts left behind. Ouch. So, in the video game, it's called beach cleanup. It means it's bad. It means you need someone that is okay with what they're about to do. Remove large monster from the beach. Load giant monster parts into secure waste truck. Oh, so there was a monster on the beach, super video game. Remove the giant monster from the beach. So let's try to make a good, informed, calculated decision. I think let's do Melanova. I think because. Oh, wait, my headset's off. I totally forgot what he just said. Interesting. Now I have my headset on. So I chose Melavola? Melavola? I think Melavola. And then Golem just came along, but I totally missed what Golem said. So I'm going to go off the information that I have based on that I don't have. Is Golem wanting to eat the monster parts, or does Golem like this character? Like, does he like her? Right? Is that what I'm seeing? Those dispatching. And I'm gonna make informed, calculated decisions, and I'll try to get my best. Oh, Melanova. Melavoa likes Golem. She likes him. You know the interesting part with Golem, even though he's turned into this monster, I'm wondering if he's a human. I'm wondering if he's a human and just his monster form took over. But there's something about his bio that said he's a construct or something like that. But I need to read his bio again because I think something like he's a construct that became sentient. But I'm wondering if his origin story is actually he was a person that I'll have to see it for a second. But I think right now I can tell that we take the educated guess that I think Malavola likes Golem. That's around. How power yourself lives. Actually, I guess he can't ask for someone's help. He said, "Oh, nice. Okay, okay." A coop. She returns injured because she failed to clean up. The Coop was talking. Coop was talking. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. It says underground drug bust. Okay. If I click tab, it pauses the game for you. So it allows you to pause and think. So if you click tab, you get to kind of think ahead to like drug bust. And then when you look at their info, you probably want to send someone that's partially low. Yeah, so like just based on their crimes, like drug possession. Like don't send the former dude who had drugs to a drug, superhero guy. So you just have arson, assault, vandalism as flambe. So something burns, gets to a fight. They consider that vandalism. He can actually still become a pretty good hero. He's just anger issues. Yeah, he can still become a hero. He just doesn't know his place in the world. Assault, larceny, robbery. So fighting people. She took stuff because she comes from a poor background. Larceny, stealing stuff from people, and robbery. So larceny and robbery. Larceny, I think, stealing from people, and then robbery is just stealing stuff from her home. So she grew up poor. Assault gets in the fights. She can still become a hero. It's just, you know, punch. Oh, sorry, my bad. Addicted to a variety of controlled substances. Yeah, don't send him to the drug bust. You know what I mean, like, I'm glad that Sonar wants to become a hero because he would make a really powerful supervillain. You know, all of these are like embezzlement, extortion, drug possession, forgery, fraud, money laundering, perjury, cyberbullying. This is all intent. So when you have a rap sheet that shows intent, um, you can discern that. So to me, Sonar looks like a spy, or he's trying to reform and become a hero. It's just dangerous. Like I said, Flambe, I think just fire, fighting. It's just he has anger issues. Oh, he's from Afghanistan. Okay, but yeah, he gets to become a hero. She gets to become a hero. So with Punch Up, I don't even know what picokinesis is. It's pain immunity. Well, that actually is a key trait for being a certain hero. If he has superhuman strength and durability and pain immunity, which means I could make him more combat or more Vigrum. Oh, he's like the perfect tank. He is more like the perfect tank. Yeah. I bet if I increase his vigor a little bit higher, his powers, so construction hat, health, construction hat. So it's probably these two, right? But it's from Ireland. Primes, battery, which is just isn't battery and assault the same thing? No, battery assault is just fighting. Battery means he took an item and beat someone with it. Parole violation. He's ducking on his parole public intoxication. Okay, he gets drunk and plays around. Second degree murder. I think second degree murder. I need to look it up again. Flyweight brawler. A really good fighter, more so than anyone else. I think a fighter is more. A fighter is more intelligent. A brawler is just kind of swinging punches, just swing. Like a fighter's more calculated. A brawler is can get into the thick of it. Fighter's just more smarter, safer, like poking versus sledgehammering. So the crimes are. I think second degree murder does sound bad, but I think second degree murder for this character punch up rank one. What does that mean? Oh, is that their level? Rank two, rank one, rank two, rank one, rank two, rank one, rank one. Oh, okay. Looking at it now, this was like their level or something. He can still become a hero. He can still reform himself because it's not first degree murder; it's second degree murder. I think first degree murder is intent. I think second degree murder is like maybe accident or something. Take an educated guess. I need to look at this again because I don't really care too much about the nitty gritty. But we can reform punch up from a villain into a hero would be nice. So prison. Oh yeah, they're all criminals. Duh, I forgot. It's a rap sheet of 8 criminals turning them into superheroes. Pop star illusionist. So but Michigan, yeah, flowers, music snob, just snobbish. You can put that there. Highly dramatic. Dramatic. Highly dramatic means. Oh, they could sure. Consistently requires a return to her trip. Interesting. Assault, so getting into fights, drug possession. Don't send her to the place. Hey, don't send her onto hero stuff to do drug busts. DOI is bad. It's not respecting herself. You know, if your DOI is just not respecting yourself, that's the disrespecting oneself. Tax evasion says intent. No, that was the unknown, right? She's the another dimension. Possesses a tail. Yeah. Sonar's NA sponsor. Oh shit! I think Mela Bola. Does she like Sonar? Sonar. No, no, no. I think Sonar's sponsor Mela Bola. I think atheist. So demon from another dimension doesn't believe in anything. True crime aficionado. Okay. Salt, stealing stuff. That shows intent. That shows intent. That shows intent. I still think this is accident. Yeah, they're dangerous people. These two. And then Golem is just supposed to be. Yeah, they're saying it's. See, it says birthplace unknown. See, you don't really see his um, origin story. This looks like he's supposed to have like diamond armor, right? Like diamond armor or something. His strength or okay. Some sort of unknown chemical attack that he gains, and something about no, I don't know what this could be. This might be like diamond toughness, some sort of bio attack. This is something else. Versatile. Yeah, defender. But for Golem, he might just be a human because you don't know where he's born, and we just don't know his origin story. Yeah, he can still become a hero. This is just whatever he was doing, he messed up. Disturbing the peace is just him. I don't know. Maybe he's playing music really loud or something like that. Vandalism. So he can still become a hero. He can still be reformed. He's only 20 years old. He is a human. He's a human. He's 20 years old. Something different. I don't think he's just enjoys poetry and basketball. Golem might be African American. I'm sorry, just Golem might be African American, and whatever his origin story is, he turned into this monster. Maybe, just taking an educated guess. But 7'7". One, just being really tall. Could be African American. He's really tall. It could be from Africa. Golem, his origin story. He could be from Africa. 7'7", likes basketball, enjoys poetry. He still performs here. Now, Coop or Coupe, on the other hand, I think she has an accent, right? She is a shadow type. She is an assassin. I don't know what Umbra Kinetic is. Weaponry is Umbra Kinetic Flight. Superhuman accuracy. Oh yeah, she's like yeah. Birthplace unknown, mysterious, deadly, wishful, true kill count. Like many things about her is unknown. Fighting. Oh, intent. More so surprised. Like Sonar, Melavola, and Coupe are like actual criminals. I mean, like the more dangerous ones, and maybe Punch Up too. Okay, I think I know who to send. Anonymous? I think so. Convincingly poses a bar, highly educated in drugs. But why did the tip line say send? I want to try. I want to try something. It's a brawl. No. Where is the bad guy going? Wait, why did Sonar pay someone to spy on it on Visit Ground? just in case. But let's lean into his. Ideally, I'd increase his mobility, right? Just in case. Or I could do just lean to the tankiness. Lead into her combat capabilities. Okay. Different protect and defend civilians, shut down the deal. Nice. So doppelganger illusion revealed. When assigned to a call, Prism duplicates the hero to the left, placing their illusion in an empty slot with half their stat. Nice. So the illusion is actually like half the stats. So that should work. So different response times for different events. Okay, so this response time is slower because it says, hey, my grandma just got scammed by someone claiming they work for you guys. So let's just speak to a victim, gather intel and scammer. So the person needs to gather intel, more so like sonar. That matches intelligence. So yeah, different response times have different coordinations, and hopefully you're maximizing the best possible outcome. Oh, it's only okay. We're good now. I like Prism. She's cool. Let's also, just in case, let's make Flambe really good at combat because we need two good combat people. If they each maximize 2 skills, then they're covering 16 spots. If I have 2 good fighters, 2 good tanks, her charisma is different than intelligence, but I want her charisma to go higher. She has the capability of being excellent combat and excellent charisma, right? And I think people, so I'm going to focus Prism on charisma. Let's maximize this so that she covers a certain base. For Invisigal, she can go invisible. I think it's actually better for her to focus on mobility, for her to get in and get out, her capabilities. If she's faster, which is invisible, she'll become even stronger. Well, theoretically speaking, and just me game theory. Sonar, focus on intelligence to get it maxed out. Flambe, I think I'm just going to go straight combat. I want to be a valuable fighter. Just you always need some strong fighters, right? I think for Invisigal, let's focus on her capabilities if we're going invisible, so let's maximize mobility. Punch Up is a fighter. Maybe it should be combat or vigorous. But he's supposed to be a tank or something like that. Could have swore. Oh, there we go. Durability and pain. But ultimately, his 2 skills. I'm gonna push combat vigor, but his charisma was already a 3. No charisma, no charisma. Melova will also do. I'll do charisma and maybe charisma and mobility. Charisma and combat. So I have 2 combat. So I'm gonna go. Okay, and then coupe will do. I'll actually do intel and combat for her as the 2. Even though technically mobility would kind of be pretty good. But she has wings. I don't know if she flies or something. Yeah, she can fly. Connect flight. So take that back. But she does have a 3 intelligence, which makes it a little easier, right? Also, Invisigal or Visi. I could have her go intelligence if I focus two stats. Mobility and intellect. But I think everyone could use. Yeah, well, I'll probably do Coop as intelligence and combat. Golem, I'll do combat vigor. Case. Villanova. Let's do charisma and maybe charisma and combat just in case. Something like that. Do charisma and combat. Well, I'm gonna do charisma combat. What stat does she doesn't have? Either one. Did this work? Oh, no, we failed. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is landslide, so I can kind of wait. Let me click. Just swim now. Okay. Is Coupe? Is she floating? What? This is because the villains, or the reformed heroes, are fighting not to be lost post. Wait, what? He doesn't have intelligence at 2. Okay, I'm pretty sure he has. Investigate. Describe a tip. Deliver the suspect back to S team. Let's wait. Oh, actually, I can't wait. Okay. Working on backup. Oh, that was my fault. I should have responded to that call. That's my fault, moving too slow. Go. I messed up. I should have had this. These two return. Oh, nice. Burglary in progress. Whoa, 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 whoa. My God. No. I think we're supposed to fail, right? My guy's left-handed? Oh, her powers are shadow. Potential. Seems to forget. Attachment. Makes sense. If it's immortality. There's a room full of villains. It's just something else. Mm. What the heck? Mm. Oh, there we go. Oh, wow. Getting distracted with my cell phone. What? I don't know what she's referencing. I need to increase her intelligence just in case. So I need two. I need combat intel, which fits to her assassin mold. Right? Which fits to her assassin. Something like that. Let me shift music. Maybe charisma and combat. Maybe it kind of fits charisma and combat. Kind of fits sorcerer. Oh, flyweight brawler. So, okay. Brawler. Perfect call. Synergy. And Physica, Invisi, and Golem have natural synergy. Whoa. Okay. She's kind of almost well-grounded. I still think increase your mobility just in case. Maybe intel? Let's increase your mobility just in case. I just want to increase your mobility. See how this kind of plays out. Let's get. I'm also thinking mobility too. Yeah, blue's combat mobility, so just make him stronger. But then again, because he gets better combat, better mobility, maybe he doesn't need these two. And then if we give him some other, I don't know, shouldn't overthink it. So we found the synergy. The synergy is these two. Hybrid. Okay, interesting. Oh, he can't lose. Before I send him, Columbo was already going to. He could. Yeah, mobility plus combat could fly. Cool. I guess she could have combat mobility intellect, but probably for flight license. It looks like they want to send the bad guy for flight. Okay. So Vizzy and Golem. What is that? Carry non-flying heroes. I would like to be able to send sonar, but I don't think he can. Nice. She can go invisible. One skill point. I do want it to be a little more tanky, but these defenders maybe a little more combat. There's someone who needs extra training. Extra hero training. So I can't train him. Okay. Apprehended. Lightning struck. Go quickly. Gets away. Don't underestimate him. Can we? Do we have time? Oh, okay. It plays first slot against +3 combat. It plays second slot against +1 ability. If it sends on a call that fails, she'll reattempt it. I like that. Get on the air with Bone Zone. Participate in a friendly debate. Synergy. Technically, maybe Intel. Even though her combat could be stronger. Maybe increase the charisma. If I want him to be the best at being charismatic. Oh. So we need 4 people. Oh, he's not back. Oh, he's just not back. But I could have intercepted that one. That's on my mistake. %. All of their synergy went up. Choose a hero to increase their mobility. Nope, game time. Good things on time. We're hacking, moving. Okay. Oh, uh-oh, missed the. Antivirus for the systems that we're in. Are we going in again? We're going again. Oh, oh, we're good. Nice. Okay. I think they did that. It's not the beginning of the storyline. This is episode 3, right? Um, doesn't take too long. Character is grabbing some sort of electrical system. We're going in again, third time. Let's try. Whoa. That was a little quick, a little close. Sure. You know what's interesting? I want I want my character to decide. I think because yeah, I want to see what my current character, Robert, thinks. Is that ominous? Is that dangerous? We let a hybrid, highly intelligent, super strong villain cut in from the team. Could potentially be dangerous. Just left it. Aww. Little doggo. Little green collar. Nice. Well done. What's happening? is the stream? 3 hours seems like a pretty good time. 3 hours is enough. Oh, I forgot. Let's do the. You and 36% of players cut Sonar from the team. That means 64% cut Coom? Interesting. Is there an option to not help Busy? Does 99% of players help Busy? You and 60% of players said all of your things. You and Maker and Dyson. Oh, it's 50-50. It's because I missed that one. I think I missed two. I think there were two calls that I didn't click fast enough. So we're on episode 4. Restructure. 3 hours is enough time in the stream. Oops.